This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris, and today I made a batch of sweet cherry crumb muffins. I was really inspired to make these muffins today because my cherry tree in the backyard is just loaded with all of these great sweet cherries. So I made them into a muffin with a wonderful crumb topping. We're going to first start by making our crumb topping. So in a medium-sized bowl, I'm going to put in 1/3 cup of white sugar and 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And with your brown sugar, make sure that you lightly pack it. Then a pinch of salt. I'm going to use a spoon and I'm going to mix those sugars together real well. Especially with the brown sugar, you want to make sure that you get most of the lumps out. Then I've melted 6 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add that and mix that in as well. Next, I've measured out 1 cup of flour, and I'm going to add that. Now, as I stir this in, this mixture is going to get really thick. It almost becomes like a dough in itself. What's really important is that we get all of that flour mixed in. You can see just how dough-like this is, and that's going to make a great crumb for the top of our muffins. Now, I'm just going to let my crumb mixture sit to the side while I get our muffin batter ready. Now, in a large bowl, I'm going to measure out 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 2/3 cup of sugar. I'm going to use my spatula, and I'm going to mix those ingredients up together real well. And now I'm going to add my wet ingredients. So I'm going to put in 1 egg, a cup of sour cream, and I'm actually using a non-fat sour cream, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/3 cup of melted butter. And now with my spatula, I'm just going to mix all of these ingredients together just until I don't see any more of the flour. Now I'm going to get my muffin pan ready. So I'm going to put in 12 paper liners. And then just to make sure that any of the muffin that bakes over the top and onto the pan releases easily, I'm going to take some of my baking spray and I'm just going to spritz it right on the top. And the last thing I want to have ready are my cherries. So I have 24 of my nice sweet cherries off my tree. I've pitted them, but I've left them whole. So now we're ready to get our muffins together in the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my medium cookie scoop and I'm going to put 1 scoop of dough into each of the pans. Now that's probably about 1 to 2 tablespoons of dough. But what I want to do is just to create a little bit of a bed in each of the muffin pans, because what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take 2 cherries and I'm going to push them right into the dough. So you can see when we're done here, I've got 2 nice big fat cherries in each muffin well. Then I'm going to go back and put another scoop of batter on top of the cherries. Now I am going to take my fingers right now and just kind of move that batter around a little bit because the cherries have made sort of this big pocket and I want to make some room for our crumb on top. Now you can see I've pretty much covered up the cherries, but if some of it peeks up, that really doesn't matter. But now we can go ahead and get our crumb mixture, and because it's cooled, it's really crummy now. But we want to make the crumbs be in sort of pea-sized pieces. So as I pick up some of the crumb, I'm going to kind of press it together with my hands and place those large crumbs right on top. Now you'll see I've used every bit of that crumb mixture, so we can be really generous on these muffins. Now normally when I bake muffins, I don't like to have little bits of batter and things on the pan, but with these crumbs you really can't avoid it. But because we put that little spritz of baking spray on it, it won't be a problem. Now just as a precaution, I'm going to put my muffin pan on a rimmed baking sheet, and here's why. Whenever you're dealing with big pieces of fresh fruit, and we've got 2 cherries in each of these muffins, there is a chance that some of those juices might bubble over. So I want to make sure that doesn't go in my oven. So just for safety's sake, I'm going to put this on a rimmed baking sheet. Now I've preheated the oven to 375 degrees, and these are going to bake for about 20 minutes. Okay, so once they come out of the oven, we want to take a toothpick, put that through, and it's come out clear, so these are baked nicely all the way through. I do want to leave them here on the pan for about 5 minutes. Now that these have cooled down just a little bit, I can take a fork and look at how they just pop right out of that pan. There's one big crumb right there. And I'm going to let these cool for the rest of the way on the cooling rack. Those cherries are going to be really, really hot, so you want to make sure that the muffins have cooled down just a little bit. You don't want someone biting into one of those boiling hot cherries. But I'd say if you let them sit for about 45 minutes or so, they'll be just fine. Well, if you'd like to give these cherry crumb muffins a try at home, just go to our website and visit the Nothin But Muffin show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll see you next time.